Hello, welcome to this tutorial. This tutorial is part 3 of Unit 2, featuring different aspects of the scale. And today what we're going to be doing is discussing and reviewing the different parts of the scale, also known as the scale degree names. So let's go over to my shared screen, and we will discuss this topic just for a moment or two. Now, something that's important and something to remember here is that we can create the degrees of the scale on any note within the major scale or the minor scale. So basically, when we think about this set of names for each note, the one note that will be slightly different when we get to the minor scale will be the 7th note, but we'll get there. So first of all, what we want to think about is how each of the names of the scales relate to different keys. So basically, if we start on any scale and start with that starting note, then the first note is going to be the tonic. So if we're in the scale of G major, the tonic note will be G. Let's go over to the piano and I'll demonstrate. So the first note of the scale is G. Now the second note of the scale is A, or also known as the supertonic note. The mediant, which is the third note, is going to be B in this case. Now the fourth note of the scale is C, also known as the subdominant. The dominant note is the fifth note of the scale, which in this case is the note D. The submediant is the sixth note of the scale. The leading tone is the seventh note of the scale. And then the tonic is then repeated at the end. So tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading tone, and then tonic again. Now this information can be translated into any major scale. Let's pick the scale of E major. Now in the scale of E major we have 4 sharps: F sharp, C sharp, D sharp, and G sharp. So the first note of this scale is E, also known as the tonic. The supertonic is F sharp, or the second note. The third note is G sharp, or the mediant. The subdominant is A, or the fourth note. The fifth note, which is the dominant, is B. The sixth note, which is the submediant, is C sharp. The leading tone is D sharp. And then we come back to the tonic again. So when we think about writing the scale, something that's interesting is to think about how each note is labeled in order of the scale. But the only thing that's different is that when we get to the repeat of the tonic again, we don't call that the 8th note, we call it the tonic, just because of the way that the musical mathematics works. Now, something that's interesting is in a minor scale, the natural minor scale contains something called the subtonic for the 7th scale degree. Now, this means that this is also known as the lowered 7th note of the natural minor scale. Now, something that's interesting about this particular information is that when we play, let's say, the scale of A minor, which is related to C major, the natural minor scale contains the same notes, including the same key signature as C major. So in this case, G is the 7th note of this scale. So the subtonic, or also known as the lowered 7th note of the natural minor scale, in this case is G. A is the tonic, B is the supertonic, C is the mediant, D is the subdominant, E is the dominant, F is the submediant, and then G is the subtonic, which means it's the lowered 7th note. Now, to make that a leading tone, and a leading tone is always going to be the seventh note going to the tonic again with a semitone difference between the two notes. To create the leading tone in a minor scale, what we have to do is raise that seventh note up a half step. So in this case, in the scale of A minor, we're going to be creating G sharp. Tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading tone, G sharp, and then tonic again. So something that's a little interesting takeaway that you can take away from this tutorial is that all of the notes of the scale are the same in the major and minor scale, except the leading tone is a little bit different. In the natural minor scale, we have the subtonic for the seventh note of the scale, which means that it's part of the natural minor scale. To create the leading tone, you have to raise that seventh note up a half step in order to create that special sound. So I hope that information is helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing you next time for another tutorial. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful day, and see you next time.